From the time I knew I wanted to be a coach, Pat Summitt was the coach that I looked up to. She was kind of bigger than life, just a hero for me. And the thing that caught my attention the most was how she treated her players and the relationship piece that she felt was so important to building her program. And there's never been a truer statement than she uses. But you can coach them hard, but you have to love them harder. And I think that that's something that I've taken with me, and it's a building block and a foundation of our program, that we're relationship builders first, and then we try to figure out the X's and O's around that.
What she did for women's basketball is unbelievable, but the way she went about it was probably what really caught my eye early. I will never forget, and I actually have this hanging in my office. One of the statements that we really have used throughout 25 plus years of this is, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And actually had one of my former students from the high school put that in my office, and that is something that I've really just tried to strive to be like, just watching her, reading her books. It was because of the relationships. I mean, everybody talks about her stare, everybody talks about, you see her on the sidelines, but she could do that because she had a relationship with them. So that's the foundation that she used, and really have just tried to model that throughout all these years.
Pat Summitt had a huge role in my love for the game of basketball. She was a true inspiration for me, going to her camp in 2008 and having her talk to each kid there over the microphone, just telling her story and how the only way she's gonna beat you is with outworking you. One of her famous quotes, I really held on to that. But just the atmosphere of the game, going to her games. My mom and dad bought us some season tickets, so witnessing her on the court and how she acted on the court was just very inspirational. And one of the very first Tennessee games I went to, I was scared because whenever they did the starting lineup, there was like fire coming out of the goals, so that was pretty cool. During tip-off, they announced everybody to stand up, and the whole crowd is clapping until Tennessee scores. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Probably one of the most memorable things for me is in 2002, Coach and I got to go to a coaching clinic, and we went down the night before, and basically we couldn't even go to sleep. We just kept talking. Just the anticipation of being able to be at her practice, to hear her speak, was really something that we were looking forward to. So that was one of the neatest things. Is I will never forget, after she spoke at the clinic, we got to go to her practice. And after the practice, she came over and was just talking to us. And that was just the way that she made us feel as little old Class A high school coaches that day, walking in, and she took the time. She didn't seem like we were wasting her time, that we were taking time. She took the time to talk to us, and that was really neat.
Monica has a way of getting things done, as we all know, and she got her administrative assistant to let us into Pat Summitt's office. So I had thought I'd won the lottery going in her office and looked down, and her practice schedule's right there on her desk. And we didn't have phones back then that took pictures and things like that. Or I would have made sure I got those. But just being in that situation around all of the national championship trophies that were in the office, and just knowing that that was where she sat and she game planned and had conversations with her players, just a really special time, and one that I'll never forget.
So witnessing the atmosphere at a young age, and then Coach being able to schedule a game whenever I got here as a freshman with Tennessee, that was just so surreal. It was a surreal moment. During tip-off, I was like, oh man, this is real, this is real. Everyone's standing up, everyone's clapping. I'm really playing on the Summitt court, so that was a fun time. But also during that time, we went to the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, and I absolutely loved it. That was whenever I was like, Mom, I'm living in Knoxville, this is where I want to be. But it was just a surreal moment.
Tennessee Lady Ball basketball was an important part of Macey's life, and we knew that. I got on the phone with Tennessee and got us a money game with them. So on Macey's official visit, I made her a ticket that said Murray State versus Tennessee, December 18th, 2018, something like that. It may be a little off on the date. But it was part of her official visit, and I handed it to her, basically saying, hey, come play for us, and we'll take you to Tennessee to play. And it took her a minute to kind of figure out what was going on, but once she did, the smile came across her face, and I thought, well, if nothing else gets her here, that'll get her here.
It's hard to put into words what that moment meant to be able to play a game there. Obviously, 20 years prior, as high school coaches, there was no way for us to even imagine that fast forward years later that we would be coaching on that court. Now, like Coach said, it would have been really sweet if she would have been on that sideline. But it was neat to take our team there to be able to play on that court. And also the staff there was really nice, for that opportunity for our kids to play a game. But the staff was really, really neat. We got to see all the behind the scenes, the locker room, all of that stuff. Again, it's just hard to ever put into words to think that that would ever be something. Years before, we never dreamed that that would even be possible.